So I was accused of something, and this accusation changed my life forever. In fact, my life would never be the same after this accusation. And my prayer is that you'll never have to be accused of this. But even though you're not accused of this, I hope that your life will still be changed in the way my life was changed. And so what was the accusation? And then how did it change my life? Stick around and we'll talk all about it. But also watch to the end, and I'm going to explain how you can win this Bible right here, genuine leather. So stick around to the end. But the truth is, I tell people that I went from Christian to agnostic to theist back to Christian. And I know it's pretty confusing, but let me explain. Let me put the Bible down here. You see, I grew up in a Christian home in Southern Oregon. I was saved at the age of 5, and I've never lost my salvation, just to be clear. Maybe we'll have a video on that pretty soon. I read Greek mythology when I was in high school, and I began to doubt, and that's when I had my period of agnosticism. But then I realized that God had to exist. But I was still skeptical of Jesus, and I call that like my theistic phase. And that's the short version to catch you up to the moment of the accusation. You see, I was a junior in high school, and I was on fire for God. You know, I was writing songs, I was leading kids ministries, I was reading my Bible every chance that I got. And you would have looked at me during these times, and you would have thought, man, that guy loves God. Like, man, he's all in. And I truly thought that I did love God, but I was wrong. You see, each day during my breaks at high school, I would sit at a table that overlooked the gymnasium, and I would open up the Bible, and I'd just spend time reading and thinking and meditating and asking my friends questions. And one day I was sitting up at this table by myself, and a young lady approached me, and this was the young lady that would soon accuse me of this massive accusation. And she asked if she could sit down, and I obliged. I said, yeah, you can sit there. And she began to ask me questions about the Bible. Now, I was at a Christian school. This was a Christian young lady, and to be honest, I enjoyed telling her, and dumping out all the years of Bible knowledge and helping her see the nuances that my super spiritual high school self had discovered, and I just enjoyed talking and sharing what God was doing in my life. And day after day, she'd come with more questions, and day after day, I thought I had all the answers. Till one day. You see, one day, she accused me of something that changed my life forever. I still remember sitting at the table, and she paused, took a deep breath, looked at me, and said these words. This is the accusation. I don't think you love God. That accusation was like a kick in the gut. My mind raced. I was like, who does she think she is? Does she know who I am? Does she know what I'm doing? I mean, she's the one coming to me with all the Bible questions. I'm the one reading my Bible for hours a day. How could she say, I don't love God? How could she say that? And she sat there for a second. There were some tears in her eyes, and got up and walked away, and that left me very confused. To be honest, I tried to ignore it, but there was something in the accusation that rang true. I knew a lot about God growing up in church. I feared God. I respected God. But did I love God? That night I had basketball practice, and I got a little bit of sleep, but God wasn't done with me yet. You see, the next day, Jonah, my brother, who's on our Hulk Mind Coffee podcast, he had a basketball tournament at Phoenix High School here in Oregon, and I remember sitting in the bleachers in one of the gyms there, and someone came up and sat next to me and just began to gush about how awesome God is and how amazing He is. And Jesus showed me this. And I don't know what came over me, but I just began to tear up. And I, being the manly man, excused myself. And I just remember walking outside the high school and just thinking, man, what do they have that I don't have? Like there's something that they've got that I don't got. I know I'm saved, but what is it that they have? And so the next day I went to church, and I don't even know if the preacher talked about, but God just wouldn't let me go. And so after service, I snuck a little gospel track, and in our Mercury Villager on the way home, I remember telling God, I'm not leaving my room, I'm not eating, I'm not doing anything until I know what they know, until I have what they have. And I remember I got into my room, I shut the door, my mom was out there making some food, everyone else is doing their normal Sunday things, and I kneel down next to the bed and I put my Bible here and I open it up and I take that little gospel tract and I open it up and I'm kneeling next to the bed. And I remember, I had committed to a long fast, as long as God wanted, to not leaving. But God didn't make me wait long. I think He was waiting for that heart of, I don't care what it costs. I want whatever that is. And so I opened up the tract and I remember the first verse that was there that I read. It was a verse that I had memorized my entire life. It's a verse that you've probably memorized. It was John 3:16. For God so loved the world that He gave His only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in Him should not perish, but have everlasting life. And it was like I read it for the first time. I mean, like the lights came on. It clicked. God loved me. He still loved me, doubts and all. And that Jesus came not to save the righteous, but to save people like me with struggles and doubts, to save sinners. And Jesus wasn't here to steal God's glory, but instead He was the actual one displaying it in a vibrant HD. And I remember my heart just melted in that moment. I didn't just know about God. I didn't just fear God. I didn't just serve God, but I loved God. And it reminds me of that verse, we love Him because He first loved us. When I was utterly convinced that God loved me through Jesus Christ and His sacrifice on the cross and His resurrection, my love for God exploded. Friend, I want to tell you this. You don't want to miss that. A life lived loving God is the best life possible. It truly is. I want to say it one more time. A life lived loving God is the best life possible. And so my question is this: do you love God? Do you love Him? Not just do you know Him, not just do you respect Him, not just do you serve Him, but do you love God? Do you love Jesus? Friends, this is a question that I pray you wrestle with. I pray you never have to be accused of it, but I do pray you wrestle with it right here. My prayer for you is Ephesians chapter 3, verses 14 through 19. It says this: For this cause bow I my knees unto the Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, of whom the whole family in heaven and earth is named, that He would grant you according to His riches, or the riches of His glory, to be strengthened with might by His Spirit in the inner man, that Christ may dwell in your hearts by faith, that ye, being rooted and grounded in love, may be able to comprehend with all the saints what is the breadth and what is the length and the depth and the height, and to know the love of Christ which passeth knowledge, that ye might be filled with all the fullness of God. Friends, when God helps you see the love of Christ, you're filled with this fullness. And seeing God's love for you helps you love God. And so the question is, do you love God? Do you love God? I pray that you'll take some time today and seek Him, because there's nothing better. I promise you, there's no better life than a life lived loving God. I want to talk to you about how you can win this before you go. If you are interested in winning this, we'll be giving this away on Christmas. I have a video that you can watch all the details. But if you want to be entered to win, this is what you got to do. Make sure you're a subscriber, hit the like button, and then comment something below. Maybe comment a story about when God showed you something special. Maybe just say, I do love God. I love Him. I don't know what it is, but comment something below. And we'll be looking through these videos, comments, and we'll be picking someone to give this away to on Christmas Day. Hope you have a great day. Watch another video, and we'll talk soon.